Are you ready?
I guess so.
Amazing.
Yes. I have my phone in my pocket. I don't know if I should get rid of it. I have it silenced. So
Just a little bit.
it shouldn't interfere, right?
No, it shouldn't,
Yes.
right?
Okay, good. That was the one thing I was worried about. Maybe I should just keep it on the other side of the room so there's no interference. I don't know how
Not even
electricity
a
works.
chance. All right. Okay.
After
30 minutes of setup,
and technical issues that was literally
difficulties.
solved by a single battery.
Yep, solved by switching the battery.
Oh my god.
Here we freaking go.
So, name is Addy Jenkins. My age is 24 years old. Cancer, by the way. Didn't ask for that, but I gave you that for free. And today's date, it is the 27th of October, 2021. Yes. I couldn't remember if it was the 27th or 28th. I got it. See, I had to check this on the train. I believe it was 285 or 283. It's like one of those numbers right in there. But yeah, I think it's a modest amount. I don't think it's too high or too low. I think it's decent way for someone who doesn't super post that often. See, this is an easy question. It's actually my most recent one at the time of this recording from Comic-Con, my cosplay of Aang. Actually, that's the first picture that I've had in the small amount that I posted that is over 100 likes. And so I was a little proud of that when I saw that. I did in fact pop off a little bit of, hey, yeah, I'm famous. Yeah, that is my most liked photo of my series of pictures of my Aang cosplay from Comic-Con 2021, New York Comic-Con. See, that's a very interesting question because I feel when looking back in this in the archive, it's going to be so different for first years like me because we had of course this whole pandemic thing that happened, and so a lot of things moved online. Like when we did DNA, the first thing that I've done with you guys was online, me in my room sitting in front of a computer. That's weird. That's the first time I'd ever really done something like that. Remote and almost in a way isolating, but still a great way to stay connected and feeling like I'm still part of something and part of theater, despite the challenges that the whole world faced. To me, Blackwolves means my friends and people that I admire and love to work with and love to spend time around, working together as artists and collaborating to make the art that they want to make. We spent so much time, I feel like when we were in school, where I met a lot of you guys, we were restrained by so many different rules. But now we can kind of do whatever we want, and Blackwolves is a way of being free and embracing that freedom of theater and art that we can just kind of make. It doesn't matter how many people really see it or take it in, or it's not about an idea of using this and getting really big and making this big name. It's we want to make what we want to make, and at the end of the day, if that gets us where we want to be, hell yeah, that's perfect. Easily, my favorite memory was when we were doing DNA and we were filming the last big group scene where, spoiler alert, they find Adam. Oh no, sorry, cut that out. But it had snowed recently, and so I was in my backyard. I laid a blanket out. I had my phone that I was zooming from and recording. I had an older phone that I used as a flashlight. I had my blanket down and I was just kind of playing in the snow in the middle of the night in my backyard, and my parents keep looking out the back door and what is happening back there? But it was just so much fun to just be able to play and explore and do a show in my own backyard, which I never thought I'd get to do. One of my favorite moments, because it's so hard to pick an exact favorite, I really look back fondly on doing Romeo and Juliet with a very small theater company, Fair Shakes. It was 5 cast members and the director, and we all played multiple parts in Romeo and Juliet. I was Romeo, Lady Capulet, Friar Abraham, and one other role that was like had like 2 lines. I can't remember off the top of my head. But one of our last performances was a walking performance on the High Line, and we actually traversed the entire length of the High Line Park doing Romeo and Juliet, just weaving in between crowds, saying our lines, stopping in various places. And it was just so awesome to just watch different people get attached and like follow us along for a little bit, and then they get lost behind and they come back and catch us again. Specifically, one moment that I think was really great was me and Juliet, and it was their first kiss. And we were weaving in about trees, like going back and forth and just kind of doing our lines while going around trees. And we finally just happened to meet right there and met for our kiss. And the entire audience was like, yeah! And they all cheered for our first kiss. And it was so amazing. My friend was there and actually got several pictures of that moment. And they're some of my favorite things. That was one of like my most fond memories of performing. Inspiration, I think, and feeling like I can get back into an industry and a career where I feel I got almost kneecapped is how I put it, right at the start, right after I graduated college. Then bam, 2020 happens, and it kind of set me back a whole year. I think a better word is momentum. That's the word. I want to regain that momentum that I had, and I think I'm on the right path to do so. Okay, so I always feel like I catch a lot of flack for this, but there's no denying it, there's no avoiding it at this point in my life. My favorite movie of all time, just based on what it is, Pacific Rim. Right, okay, so a lot of people are like, why? There's so much better films out there. I'm like, okay, but hear me out. Giant robots, giant monsters. Smash, smash, smash. It's a great time. I turn my brain off and I watch it and I see Idris Elba say some great lines and then he punches a monster. It's just great. It's just I was gonna say guilt-free, but it's not guilt-free. It's anime in a way, but just made by Western studio and real life people. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Pacific Rim is a great movie. And if you have the ability to turn your brain off and watch it, I highly recommend that. I've never seen the second one though, which I think is a blessing because a lot of people said the second was much worse. Second, usually I say Black Panther, but yeah.
You got a little Killmonger vibe going on.
Yeah, I mean, ever since I did that, I did a little Killmonger cosplay at Comic-Con. I'm like, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, your hair is so good." I'm like, "Yeah, right. I really dig this."
It really does look like Killmonger.
It really does, which is a blessing and a curse, because Killmonger, I think, is one of the best MCU villains that I've seen. Just as me personally, I relate to him so much, not in terms of like waging war against the entire world, but more of like the getting caught in between two worlds kind of thing, where he has this, he's born and raised in America, but his ancestry is in Wakanda, and he's split between like helping further America, and like he's at heart, like he identifies as an African American, but then is also trying to reconcile with the African part of that, and that's something that I felt really resonates with me as I started to study more about, African history and African cultures, especially West Africa, where a lot of the transatlantic slave trade happened. Trying to tap into that culture and those roots that I feel are within me, because it was taken away from me and my family. So I very much connect with that, being split between this sort of desire to embrace a sort of ancestral culture, but also this American culture where even here I don't always fit in. I'm going to say DNA because just through the process of rehearsing that show and reading the script and watching all of these people, like all of their performances, it blew me away. I could completely see why you wanted to do this show, because it's just, it's heart-wrenching and heartwarming almost, and then it's not. It was amazing to see all of my friends pour their hearts and souls into this show, into a piece of art that usually I'm so used to theater being done in the moment, like we do a live show, and then like, oh, all we have is memories. We have this. We can go back and look at this again. This is like the first time I've been able to like do that, and it's wild to me. So no matter what I do with Blackwolves, no matter anything that happens in the future, that will always hold a special place in my heart, being the first thing that we've ever done and being the first thing that I've gotten to witness, you know? Not even just that I've done, that I've seen, you know, everyone do. And this meant that many people, of course, because it was, all of you were involved, you know? Jeremy, Jacob, you, Soren, and then all the new people that I met, dude, from doing that. Like, hell yeah. Great times. So I think that'll always take that top spot. I was thinking about this more on the train ride in, because number one all time has always been like green. I don't know why. I was just young and I picked that color. I went, that one's my favorite, and that was it. And it stood the test of time. Though recently I've been finding myself more in line with a little bit of pink, honestly. That definitely has just been calling out. It feels almost softer compared to some of the harshness of green, or how people like, oh, green with envy or anything. There's much less negative connotations, I feel, with pink. Unless you start getting into the stupid gender stereotypes of like boys in blue, girls in pink and everything. Just disregard that bullshit. That's a conversation for another day. Yeah, no, I'm finding myself more comfortable and accepting of wearing pink and adding it to my wardrobe, because I also think it complements my skin very nicely. Ooh. Yes, I do feel a lot of pressure, and this is something that I've talked at length about with myself, to no one in particular, to an empty room, that I do feel a lot of pressure. I do feel a lot of pressure coming from my youth, and a lot of times where when I was younger, I was the one that did the best in school. It always felt like there were these expectations of being very smart and being like the one that can, you know, cure cancer, or just become a doctor, or be an engineer, do something like radical and change the world. And that pressure has sort of remained to this day. It's something that I'm still trying to sort through and work out. But then there's also the pressure of, you know, being who I am, and what do I need to be. The pressure that I've then put on myself through internalizing this, or the expectations I feel others put on me when I take a certain label. Like, when I claim the identity of being black, you know, are there others that would go against that? And, you know, that expectation, the pressure to, okay, well, if I'm black, then I need to be black, and I need to fulfill these stereotypes and you know, act a certain way, when the black experience to me is my own experience, is my life, you know. Or if I claim the label of trans, that's me, you know. There's no one who can take that away from me, because that is me. And there's immense pressure that I've been feeling to accept that, but it's just putting that in practice I find is the hardest part. Okay, so I don't know what it is, it's always been like this. I do not like when someone leaves a pen uncapped or like unclicked. Like, if I'm writing with a pen, people will probably get annoyed, because I'm always like, the moment I stop writing, I have to click it closed, or I have to cap it. It cannot stay open or unclicked on my desk. I've seen other people, my sister-in-law was working at our like dining room table one time, and she was color coding her notes, and she had like 7 different pens in different colors, and they were all unclicked. And we're just trying to have a conversation, and I just went, I'm sorry, I have to do this. And I just went and I just clicked all of her pens closed. I'm like, okay, continue, please. I don't know what it is. I think I was always afraid of like the ink drying out, and then I would be left without a pen, and then that was it. But yeah, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. I If I was to give any advice to myself a year ago, go with your gut. Trust your instincts, because there was a lot that you felt in certain moments and you second-guessed yourself. And to say you paid the price was rough is a rough statement. It makes it sound, I feel, dramatic in a way, but you paid the price. And we survived. We're here now. So obviously, you know, it wasn't too bad, I guess, but your gut, your instincts are hardly wrong, you know. And if you listen to those, if you keep that in mind, I think we would have found ourselves in a better place. Okay, so I struggled a lot with this question, because we talked about earlier, I mentioned earlier my career almost feeling like I got kneecapped. The biggest person that I feel I've worked with, hello, yes, thank you for your service. I guess if you count directors that I've worked with, I would go with Jean-Marie Giannino, I think is how you say his name, who was the director of a show when I did Orestes 2.0 in college. He was the director of that show. He works with City Company. Other than that, you. Going out and being a union actor and doing stuff, you know? If you don't count one, you count the other of the two answers that I've given you. We're gonna bring it back to the Killmonger vibes a little bit. I would love to work with Michael B. Jordan. He's been a huge influence. If you had asked me this question a year or two ago, and literally the only thing preventing me from naming this person is that they've recently passed, but I would have loved to work with Chadwick Boseman. So sadly, I cannot say Chadwick Boseman, but I definitely would love, you know, to no demerit to Michael B. Jordan, because you're obviously phenomenal. Yeah, I would love to work with Michael B. Jordan. I just feel that there would be a lot that I could learn from him, just as a person and as an actor. So that's a good question. I've been jumping back and forth, and right now, in this moment, it's very hard, because it's actually not anyone that that a lot of people would know. It's between two of my friends from high school, actually. On my story recently, I posted a piece of art that I bought from my friend Caroline. That's called Hurts to Hide, and I love the way that she works with shadows and skeleton and human anatomy in her art, and the medium that she does it on. So it's not like a big name of like, oh, who's this artist? I'm like, no, but like I find recently that I've been getting a lot of inspiration and a lot of love towards my friends and their artwork. Caroline is one, and then my other friend Sam, I went to high school with them, and they do a lot of abstract work with spray paint on canvas, and I bought a piece from them a couple months back, and I still have it in my bedroom at home, and it's coming with me to my new apartment, and I am keeping it forever and ever because I cherish these pieces of art. And yeah, they're probably, just because they're like the two people that I've been like gushing over their work, even in private, and then to all of my other friends, like I'm like, guys, look at this that I just bought. Isn't it so cool? So they're probably my favorite artists right now, the two of them. So I'm trying to think of the different ways that I can say it. Expect the unexpected, or the best laid plans of mice and men most often go awry. Anything like that, that things can change at a moment's notice. And change isn't inherently bad. But things do change, and things will change, and you can't stop it. It's up to you to just adapt to the change and sort of roll with the punches and relinquish a little bit of control. There are certainly things that you can control, but you have to acknowledge the things that you can't. And when those things change, you have to live with it. So like when the world is forced to shut down, you kind of have to adapt and figure out a new way of life. It's always hard trying to give advice because I feel like I'm such a novice myself. A bit of advice that I would give is just go for it. Take the leap. You know, if you're nervous about something, just do it. You know, like, this Shia LaBeouf. No, but like, legitimately, I can't count the number of times I've psyched myself out of auditioning for a role that I feel I would be great in, or, you know, just even applying for a job that I feel I could really do well in, just because I've you know, second guessed myself. And so if I, you know, it's to give advice to anyone else that's starting out, take the risk, you know, go for it. It's worth it. I'd want it to be more revolutionary. And I don't mean that as like, oh, people are doing the same things and someone needs to change, there needs to be a whole new thing, like a whole new wave of art. No, I think when I say that, I mean, I very much love art as a tool to incite change in the rest of the world and not just within the community that it was created. I think art has a great capacity to spark a revolution and to spark change worldwide, you know, especially nowadays where things are so connected and things can be so easily accessed by different members of different lands and different countries. I want to see that become more of a focus. I want the focus to be on revolution, and then I want that revolution to take place and affect the world. That's not super, you know, not always feasible, because everyone, at the end of the day, art is, you know, the art that you want to make. You know, you don't need to subscribe to this same theories that I have just because I got a degree in theater. You know, what do I know? But I think that's what I would love to see, is almost a unified push towards some revolution that we all desire and that we all want. I think it would be wild to see. And that just, at the end of the day, that's what I'm here for. I want to see something that entertained me, and I want to make something that'll entertain you. So I want to grab the popcorn and watch the show, and then take part in it. It would probably be Instagram, in all honesty, just swiping through things and just looking at all of these different things and keeping in touch with my friends, honestly. I find that a great way of just seeing what my friends are up to and seeing the cool things that they care about. So Instagram is one that I use a lot, though I don't post on it actively, which I've been, I'm making that a sort of resolution to start doing. Identity is the biggest thing that I am struggling with now. And I mentioned before, identities that I claim for myself. Those are ones that I have been struggling with, and you know, it's not a bad struggle. It's a very good struggle because I'm learning so much about myself, but it is nevertheless a struggle, and sort of working to expand my own mind and my idea of myself. But it has been something that I've been working hard towards, putting a lot of mental and emotional energy into, you know, the examination and the analysis of my identities and how I identify and what that means to me. I've been putting a lot of energy into that, and it's very exhausting, very, very extremely exhausting. But every time that I think about these things, I think about these identities that I am grappling with and how they form this, how they form Addy, how they form me. I'm not upset about it. It's a great way that I've spent my time, and I'm proud of myself for embracing this struggle. And I think it's something that everyone should struggle with at some point in their lives, because it's worth it. It's worth it to learn about yourself in this way. All right, I've been going back and forth on this as well, because there's so many possibilities. One thing you don't know about me is that I'm very bad with money. So even if you give me an unlimited amount of money, I would hoard it like a dragon because I'd have no idea what to do with it. But I think what I would do if you gave me a blank check, I would take it, however much money it'll end up being, and fly myself to Nigeria or visit Benin and visit and just sort of travel all down West Africa and experience the culture that I've wanted to. I've studied it in classes a little bit at school and in my own independent research, and there's just so much that I want to learn about that culture, and even things that I haven't even gotten to bring up in this interview, like stage combat. Like a huge focus of mine in stage combat is I want to bring in forms of martial arts that aren't represented, like forms like Dambe, which is like a Nigerian like form of mixed martial arts, which I would love to incorporate into stage combat, you know, and stunt work. And it just doesn't get the limelight that I feel it deserves. So I would love to go just take a trip to West Africa for however long I could and just experience the culture there and try to take back some travels. It's also worth mentioning that I've never left the United States, so that's a huge reason why I would love to do that, because that would be my first trip overseas. Fuck. Every time I think of something, it never feels like enough. I'm proud of you. You've done a lot, and you may not realize it, but it's amazing the things that you've done despite everything. And I know that you can keep it up and that you will achieve exactly what you need and what you want. We got this. You know? We can do this. Breaking Madison is my Instagram if you want to pump up my follower count. Even though I've claimed that I don't use it, I don't post too much. I'll just silently scroll through your pictures. I don't have a Twitter, so I'm not going to plug that. Puncto Capo, Puncto_Capo, C-A-P-O, is my friend Caroline, whose art that I'm obsessed with right now. Sam Desoto is my other friend that I mentioned was their art, and I want to find their Instagram handle really quick. Sam I am Desoto is that, D-E-S-O-T-O. Because I'm all about plugging my friends. What else should I throw out there? I don't know. That's it, I guess. No, yeah. Shout out to everyone that I call my friend, you know? Because you know who you are, I think, maybe. But you're like the most important people in my lives, so. Hell yeah. Go you. I don't know. I'm vamping, just cut it off.